Now we're into the Criterion Blu-rays that I purchased in the month of October, and once again, it's a typical 3. And starting this up, we are actually got a little bit of a psychological horror movie here, because it kind of makes sense when I purchased this back in October, and this is Spy Number 739 from 1995 by Todd Haynes, Safe. This is, of course, basically like a illness like horror film or something like that. And I just realized my cover is a little bit falling down a little bit, but so I am a little bit familiar, of course, with Todd Haynes. I have watched Carol, his 2015 film, and I really did enjoy that. That was like a great film. And now this is my second experience. Bit skeptical because it was a horror movie, but it said psychological, and since I had like The Silence of the Lambs, would I get into this? Very ironically, I almost didn't. Like, it's kind of also the same things with Dazed and Confused, that Safe is actually a movie I didn't like a little bit, but the more I thought about it, the more I did like it. And it's one of the most unique horror movies, unlike any others, because it's basically a mysterious illness, like, that could be coming, like, from, like, the weather or something like that, which some people maybe could be in today's definition, climate change. But I don't really think that's not really much. But it is a very unique aspect to it. Now, I was a bit scared a little bit because, of course, you have Julianne Moore in a life or death situation with this terrible illness she has. But it really is a unique film, and it's like a little bit unexpected moments, unlike any other horror movie. Well, unlike The Silence of the Lambs, there is some skepticalities. I think this was probably a better psychological horror movie than The Silence of the Lambs. I might be honest with that. Very ironically, when I opened this up at first glance, I thought when I reacted to this, I thought, oh, it was just this and this, because it just like a photo poster, like no essay or something like that usually you come with the Criterions. But no, I didn't look it over, and yeah, there is this massive essay here. Well, I wouldn't say massive, but through this poster. Very ironic, to say the least. So yeah. And as for the film itself, I did kind of, like I said, I did kind of enjoy it. Julianne Moore is really great in it as the mother. No, I'm actually, hold on, give me a second. As Carol White, that's what her name is. And yeah, she's the only recognizable cast member of this entire cast, because none of the others, because of course Todd Haynes obviously written and directed the film. So very unique, I must say. And like, there is this one mysterious kind of like you would think would be the creature of the movie, like if you see like in the posters or the promotional materials, of this guy that's like almost like covered up and you don't see his face. But I don't want to give anything else away. But if you want to see a horror movie that is completely different, that is like not much like of killers or like monsters or anything like that, but the fact that it's an illness that is like a killer, then I do say you have to check this out. Now we have a compilation film, I would kind of say, or like an anthology film, or even a package film from the definition of Disney. But this is, of course, Spy Number 401 from 1991 by Jim Jarmusch. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's it's Night on Earth. This is the taxi anthology movie that it basically looks at 5 different taxi drivers with a relationship with 5 different sorts of passengers all around the world. Like, one in Los Angeles, one in New York, one in Paris, one in Rome, and one in Helsinki. And yeah, this is of course a multi-language film, like Until the End of the World, which unfortunately I didn't really get much time to talk about that, but just a little mention about Until the End of the World in the last video. Like I said, it is a pretty long movie, but it has many, many languages. I really did enjoy that. I don't want to give much away, and the only highlight is I just love when they're in the second act in Australia. They're doing like some of the male characters are all together like this some sort of band or something like. It's very fun, but unfortunately I couldn't be able to talk about them in the last video. I just want to mention that, but I really want to talk about more. But back on Tonight on Earth. So yeah, bigger. Oops, a little bit of a bigger booklet this time, but you do have some recognizable people. Specifically, you do have Winona Ryder as the taxi driver, Jenna Rowlands as the passenger for the Los Angeles side, and then you also have Roberto Benigni, who is the taxi driver in Italy, who would, of course, later on direct, star, and written Life is Beautiful. Out of all the segments in the movie, I would probably say, very ironically, Los Angeles might be my favorite segment of the entire movie. And then I would say Helsinki would probably be in second, because it goes, like, from a very, like, it's kind of goes, it's, like, the thing is, it goes very different ways from being comedic to dramatic at some points, and just basically like a typical one, like New York, you have Paris with the passenger actually being a blind man. I'm a blind woman, I must say, because the taxi driver is actually from the Ivory Coast, I meant. And then you have the Helsinki one, which goes in a really sad part of the movie. That it really kind of didn't hurt. And yeah, unlike there are 5 languages. You have English. You have some German in there, from what I'm seeing. I believe, yeah, German would be the clown, like the New York taxi driver, who was actually a circus clown in the past. So yeah, and then you have, of course, French in the Paris segment, and then you have Italian in the Italy segment, and then you have Finnish, which is Finland, in the Helsinki segment. So yeah. Now I have seen 2 other Jim Jarmusch's movies. One I might potentially talk about in maybe a future Criterion video. Well, you have to find out which one it is, because I'm not going to say, because it might come in the next, once again, I'm noticing that the covers are a little bit down the lower side a little bit. I don't know why, but, yeah, so potentially the next official Criterion unboxing, you might see which one of this dude's movies I'm going to get. And finally, for this non-unboxing, we got an NC-17 film. Yes, that is right. So, kids, you might want to skip this one already if you've not. But I don't think you're not supposed to be watching this. Because for this one, it is another movie that's not in the English language, like Itumama Tabian and Blue's Warmest Color. And this is Spy Number 722 from 1990, or 1989 for some, I believe, when it was originally released, by Pedro Almodovar. Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. Yep. No surprise with me getting this, because I have All About My Mother in the collection. I did review Pain and Glory, which, as you guys know, if you saw the review, I wasn't a fan of it. But this is another one I did enjoy. I didn't even know what this was until I was going in, but basically, it's Antonio Banderas, who is basically released from a healthcare facility, from what I'm understanding. And one of his dreams he wants to do is to be with this actress. The actress who's playing her is Victoria Abril, who's playing the actress Marina, with Banderas playing a character named Ricky, who he's basically fallen in love with this former pornographic star. That's what it is. And after he managed to get her into her house, he basically forces her to do things that he wants, by even doing a massive, I believe it's called bondage, from what I heard, where he basically just ties her up, like, through ropes, just handcuffs her, and of course, like, even do this, like, you know what I mean. if you do get the definition. Remember, I am turning 21 on New Year's Day, so I'm still good to watch this, and I am 20, of course, but... And very ironically, one like Until the End of the World, well, I'll get to that in a second. The thing is, with this film, kind of similar to Ichiban Batapian, for this, you get both the Blu-ray and the DVD of the film. And that's why, if I can get this booklet out, I don't think no one doesn't want to see what it looks like. It basically... You get both, and it's kind of like the similar veins of Pina and Until the End of the World, where it's in this style of cover, which I do like, because it's more like of an actual plastic, like the actual case itself, unlike the ones like the Ichiban Batapian one and the Silence of the Lambs one. Like, this is, like, the booklet, I probably don't want to show you the front. It's not that appropriate, but it's just more like a booty thing, but... It is still in a dress, I will say that. So, yeah, it is a bit odd, but I did actually enjoy it from the performances, and I can't really give much away how the ending turns out. It is something you would not expect, and you would think this would be in the realms of, like, the Me Too movement or something like that, based on the subject matter, and I believe this movie did got a bit of controversy, I think, for its censorship, and, like, it did got, like, what was it, X rating. When you think of, when you hear the word X rating, I think the first thing you can think of X rating is, Fritz the Cat. So, yeah, very odd movie to be precise, but... I think that would kind of ends off for this second and final round of the Criterion Blu-ray collection unboxings or non-unboxing catch-ups. And these are the three that I got in the month of October. And the next one, which will probably be the last Criterion Blu-ray unboxing of the year, you will see what would be the films I have planned for an official unboxing. Not a big one, but I will say you will probably see some more recent releases. Parasite is not one of them, by the way, if you have seen my review of the film.